It's going live, and I'll give you a few minutes to share it with your peeps. And I would just give an introduction while you're doing that. Let me make sure my... Okay, hey guys, welcome back. I am happy to go live. I enjoy doing these lives. Anybody who follows me and you are hesitant about doing video because you don't like how you sound on camera or look on camera, or you don't know what to say, or you freeze up and you get your words mixed in your head whenever you hit record, a very strong tip is go live, because you don't have time to like edit. You don't have time to edit. You have a feeling like you're talking to people in real time because you are. So if you haven't, and I'm talking to my people with businesses, if you don't go live because of those things, or if you don't do video marketing because of those things, just go live and cure yourself of all of that mental hassle. But welcome, guys. We're going live, another conversation with Karolis, and boy, do we have a good topic for you. Karolis, first, how's it going?
It's really great. Enjoying this week more closely with my missus, spending more time together, and really just playing around with our what we are doing, where we headed towards. So more clarity on our partnered up vision.
Okay, now as a partner, you and your missus together, working on your vision together, that's so important. We didn't even plan on talking about that, but I do want to highlight that. That's like, I want to stop there. Anyone who is in a partnership or with their co-parent or with the other parent you're married to or whatever, to have a shared vision for your kids, that's huge.
It's really, how we approach that is that there are things that I'm building, as part of a vision that I had from when I was a child, and there are things that my missus sees in her life, in her career, and then we are joined force, we are joint energy, which brings some sort of a future to our children, to the people around us, to our families. So we found it very crucial to really clarify that on our value proposition, how we perceive the boundaries in the family, because if both ways are separate and a little bit joined together because you're family, it can be a little bit hard to make priorities and follow up and be in a position of being accountable and responsible as a parent.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there are different dynamics too. So I just want to talk to anyone following. I have a lot of single parents that follow me too. And, sometimes it's hard. I actually have a really good relationship with my ex, the mother of my kids, and we have a very respectful separation, divorce. A lot of people don't have that. So I want to talk to you. If you don't have that and you say, yeah, that would be great, but my ex is whatever you would call them. First, don't call them that. Even to yourself, you're only hurting yourself. And I think that the leadership principles we're going to talk to about today will speak directly to you, because at the end of the day, your leadership for your kids and for your family comes down to you, and not if you have that respectful leadership partnership, awesome, that's so great. But at the end of the day, it comes down to us as individuals and as parents. So I think today's conversation will be especially meaningful to you. Would you think so?
It's really important to know that today's topic, parenting leadership, it's really the most incremental part of the leadership position. And if we can really take let's say basics out of the parenting leadership, we can improve our leadership in business, in a community, in whatever you do, because the parenting leadership is the incremental steps of having a strong foundation for being a solid leader with a capacity to understand and listen.
Okay, yeah, I think so too. I absolutely agree with that. So what would you say, like, as far as parents, like, let's start with definitions like we did last week. What's your definition of a leader? What does that mean? And what does it look like?
It's an actionable example. It's actionable example in a human form. So, when someone, when we take a distinction of a boss and a leader, that's where a difference is. Boss can point out the things, make it happen, and I don't care how you make it happen, just make it happen. Leader is an actionable example of how things should happen. So he leads, shows an example, and mentors, guides you towards the fulfillment and achievement of a desired outcome.
That's so cool. Yeah, I was a little confused when you said an actionable example, where you were going with that, but that's so great. An actionable example, an action taking example, someone to follow, right? A leader and a follower, someone to follow, not just someone who gives orders, right?
Yeah, that's big difference.
Yeah, a big difference, a big difference. So let's move that on to parenting. Then I think, a lot of parents prescribe to the old expression. This is in English in the United States, an expression. I don't know in your country, and I'm really curious, actually. I'm really interested. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Like old school parenting kind of, I don't even know if it's old school. Parents nowadays might say, do as I say, not as I do. First of all, do you have that? Were you raised with that kind of
I think it's an international thing, and what my parents was using is that they was creating a difference between me and them, that I shouldn't look at their actions because they are adults. So what it created for me is that I can act this way as an adult. So I can basically betray my own teachings when I'm an adult.
That's a great way to look. Like, I mean, it's not a great way to look at it, but it's a great observation.
It's how
you're
it
saying
really
to
works.
them. Like, when you're an adult, you can, talk bad about people. We talk bad about our neighbors or whatever, right? Look at them, like, they need to cut their lawn or whatever, but don't talk about people, do as I say. Oh, so when I'm an adult, then I can start talking about people.
Or when I'm not supervised by an adult, I can start expressing that. That's what happens when parents are facing a contradiction from school, from social workers, that your kid has done this, and said this, and they're like, it's not my kid, how it can be? They don't even know what their child is capable of, because they're hiding it. Because when they are faced in front of the parent, they're not feeling equal.
And so on my content this week, I've been, I guess, paralleling some disempowering traditional parenting thoughts, and then showing like a leadership alternative. So, for example, sure, if I had XYZ, I would ABC too. If I had, whereas like a reframe might be like, what can I do with what I have now? Right? So what's a good empowering reframe that, in your opinion, for do as I say, not as I do? That's a disempowering thought for everybody. So what's an empowering kind of reframe?
It's in order to come up with an empowering frame, like a reframe of that, it's really, really important to touch the aspect of people prioritizing, parents prioritizing themselves at the first, because when we say do as I say, not as I do, it's kind of contradicting your own beliefs. And it, first of all, it does like big harm to your children's potential beliefs, but it comes back to you always. It's coming back from where it came from. And in my position, you should be, first of all, preaching what you are teaching. That's one of the foundational things in a happy life. If your words contradicts your actions, you will never be happy with the way you live, because you know that you contradict your actions, your words contradict your actions. So it's really crucial to be self-aware. So the best reshape of the phrase is be self-aware about your actions and your talk.
Yes, be self-aware. That's incredible. So you have notes. What else, what other angle about parenting as leaders did you want to take us down today?
So really, I have three main steps that I want to share today that I myself implemented into teenagers, and I saw improved empathy, improved engagement, and a desire to question and ask and be in the state of mind where they are curious to have a conversation with you and be led by you. So it's very fragile topic when we talk about the leadership and someone being capable to be led. They have to give you a permission to do that, because if they are rigid, if they are not clear why, if they don't have a connection, the synergy with your leadership, you will not be able to lead them. It will be a bossy thing, even if you think you're a leader. So for me, the first one is listening. And I always give two examples for listening. One is listening to answer, because maybe you feeling an authority, an adult in front of your child. And the second one is listening to understand. So it's when you listen and you listen to the words your child is saying, and you catching those power words, you catching those words that you potentially believe your child is maybe not aware about your definition, like how deep it goes, and being able to build that rapport while you're listening is the first step towards the leadership in parenting.
That's awesome. And I would say, even I would add to that and say, listen to their actions. It's easy to, because here's what I found from my children are still small too. Mine are 8. The oldest one is 8. And the youngest one is 5. And sometimes they don't know. Like, these are new emotions. They're frustrated, they're angry, they're pissed off, they're happy, they're sad. Sometimes they don't know. Yeah. And so, like, listen to their actions. They're throwing a temper tantrum, they're angry, or they're, throwing things or whatever. Even not even out of anger, maybe like they're bored and they're just throwing something and not. But listen to their actions. They're having a tantrum. What are they really telling you? Are they tired? Are they bored? Do they need attention? Well, I'm not giving them attention and rewarding this behavior. Well, then you're going to get more of that behavior. Yeah. So, like,
it's Jesse, just to stay on this what you said, yeah, listening to their action, observing their action. It's really important to have that clear line on there, because we shouldn't be too much focused on really looking into the action just as a factor to create an assumption that this is what happens with my child. When we question a child, they are, they have their own capacity to explain how they feel. And sometimes it's vague, very vague. It's not like clear distinction of how they feel, but it's still a distinction. And it's really important to ask the questions about their actions so they learn to express their emotions. Because if we take, their action and we judge it based on our perspective, maybe we didn't hear a few words that the child has to say, even if he's in a very early age, but he's capable to, express his emotions in some ways. It's the stepping stones. So I think it's really important to address that. So people, who gonna be parents or who are parents, they know this, that no matter if it's 1 word or 2 or 3 words your child gonna say, listen to it.
Yeah, listen to them, and listen to listen. Listen to communicate, not just like listen to like
listen
get ready to tell your parental wisdom. right? Listen to listen.
Yeah.
Cool. Number two.
I can go to the next step.
Yeah, number one was powerful. Listen, I mean, it's one of these
Yeah.
things that, like, upon a superficial viewing of this conversation, it's easy. Yeah, number one is listen, but it goes so much deeper than that. Think about it again, like anyone watching, like the simplest things are often the most deep, and they're often the most powerful. Like, listen. Yeah, okay, listen, great. What's number two? No, let's not move on to number two yet. Like, let's sit in this and practice this, right? Sit in this, like, listen. Like,
Do we listen to our own thoughts and emotions? That's a great question to ask yourself. Like, if someone is thinking that is it's so obvious that the first one is listening. Yeah, it's the most obvious and the most foundational one in most industries, not just in parenting. But do you really listen to your own self? Like, do you practice this in your own self? It's easy to listen to someone. It's kind of easy, if you are dedicated to that. But do you listen to your own self? That's the question. Because this one is contagious. And I will use this word. It's contagious. If you don't listen to yourself, you will find a reason to not listen for others.
Yes, absolutely. And listening to ourselves can be hard because it comes from all different things, like feeling in the stomach, feeling in the neck, feeling in thoughts, ugly thoughts that you turn up the music so you drown it out and distract yourself. Pick up your phone to distract yourself. Don't distract yourself. Like,
and as a consequence of distraction, you get into emotional and thinking loops that brings the same situations, same experiences, and you just can't quit it off.
Powerful. Okay, let's.
By the way, the second step is one very, very important with the listening, is being transparent.
Ooh.
Being transparent in a parenting leadership, it means being transparent about your own faults, your own mistakes, your own experience. Transparency comes with storytelling.
Yes.
They are really your kids. Like my boys was, when I started to work with them closer, they was 11 and 13 years old. Now they are 13 and 15. So I really noticed when I open up, when I'm being transparent about my life, no matter what was the topic, but by being transparent, I mean, not just telling a story, but explaining why I got involved into that story. What was the precursors and what was the triggers that led me to that story and how they can avoid that?
That's awesome. That's so cool. That I have a document that shows like common reframes that we can use and common like just sentence frames to use in different situations. And one of those is, you know what? The same thing happened to me. And so this happens, I use this when they fall down, like on a bicycle or rollerblades and hurt themselves. Like, you know what? The same thing happened to me. I remember when I was, going down the hill and, and it's kind of like, and I started doing that and realized as soon as I said that, like my daughter especially, like she would like look up at me and really be listening, like, oh, you fell too. Because a lot of the times when we fall, it's mostly embarrassment more than pain. And then you feel like if it is pain, it's physical pain. It's like pain. And then I feel so stupid because I fell, no, like this happens to me too, and another thing with transparency, another sentence pattern that I use is, how I tell you that, not to yell in the house and not to yell at your brother and scream when he gets upset. Well, I shouldn't have done that either. And I'm sorry. Something like that, like,
it's being transparent about your own thing.
Yeah, it's being exactly. And it's bringing it, and it's easy to think like, if I say that, then they're going to see my fault. But no, you're not. You're bringing them up and you're raising yourself up, because that's what leadership does. It takes responsibility, and they already saw you mess up anyway.
Yeah, and and they are clever. They're clever to notice those things, especially when we do opposite what we say.
Yeah.
They noting that down like with a pen and note. It's really tremendous, tremendous level of observation that they do, because they look into you as an authority, as a leader, as someone where they can get to when things get hard, and they have to feel safe.
Yeah. That's awesome. So number one, listen. Number two, be transparent. Can't wait to hear number three.
It's like being a universe, being able to explore and be flexible with the direction. So in leadership, when we take business, corporate leadership, we have predefined objectives. We have goals, we have a vision. What I believe is many parents doing kind of from around the circle is they force their own objectives and their own vision on their child. So I know that you are a parent in a position to know what is the best for your child. But when we talk about his development, about his level of exploration, because leadership is leading to somewhere from A to B, from A to Z, it's leading to somewhere. Don't tell them the letter where you're leading them to. Let them find it and listen and be transparent about the direction, about why we do this, why we think this, why we say this, why do we believe this. Be transparent about that, because exploration and flexibility in one creates like such a beautiful diversion for the child to explore and be in. Let's say, you can let your child from 2 years old to karate. You can let them go to jiu-jitsu from 3 years old. Yeah, you can let them go into dances from 2-3 years old. Give them room to explore. Encourage to fail more. Encourage to embrace failure, not as a failure. Don't grade them.
Yes. That's amazing. Exploration and flexibility. I love that. And that's so true. Try different things. Here's the thing also. I love what you said. Don't tell them where the final destination is. And here's what I was thinking. Why not to tell them? Because you don't know. We don't know.
Well, sometimes we think we know what's
sometimes we think we know, and that's just it. We don't even know where our path goes. I mean, you're in the business world and leadership in business. Take like Netflix, if they were solely focused on, DVD through mail, and that's where they were targeted, they wouldn't be around at all, you know, but they pivoted, they transitioned, they saw that bigger vision, which is, more accessible movies to a wider audience, or whatever their ultimate vision was. Like our ultimate vision as parents should be like, not that Johnny follows in my footsteps of being XYZ, that he's the best version of himself that he can be, and he's better than me. That's my vision, that they're better than me. They're better people. They're learning these skills. They're growing up with these skills, and they don't have to learn them later on in life, meaning like self-awareness skills, self-development skills, affirmation, things like that.
Yeah. I would like to really add, when you touch the business world, is like this, I use the rule of turbulence, and rule of turbulence is present everywhere,
right? Like an airplane.
Like turbulence, I mean, like
yeah.
So it's like a law of chaos, everything is in chaos at certain point, and it gets into harmony one way or another way, and turbulence is, for me, turbulence is the way where you lean on turbulence and you allow turbulence to help you to explore it. It's like what my brothers was doing. They was kind of starting a thing, having a bit, a finger in the water, and they would throw it and start something else. And that was like, I was annoyed a little bit about that, I was a little bit annoyed about that, and I thought, they're not committing to anything. And at one point, I saw how they started to commit to one thing, and I was like, did all these trials, all these not committed actions, led to the commitment? Like, did this all turbulence of the ideas of the practices, did it led to the consistency? And it is, because every time we try things, every time we get into turbulence of not knowing, of being not sure, being unaware about something, it brings a knowledge, it brings an experience. So I really believe if we put listening, transparency, and flexible exploration on the foundation of accepting turbulence as a place of growth and learning, that's a beautiful combination of parenting leadership.
That is a beautiful combination that can lead to great things. And just one more thing before we finish, and it's kind of like where we started too. It's important to start with ourselves. Start with ourselves with listening, like you said, listening to ourselves, listening to our bodies, listening to what we want. Being transparent, like it might seem obvious, it's not. Being transparent with ourselves, being in a group of people that you don't feel like they're pushing you or they're not going somewhere, but we're in that group because that's our group,
Why I want things what I want, why I do the way I do, why I think the way I think. That's biggest transparency what we can have. Why I feel the way I feel, where it's coming from. That's being transparent. Like I use the rule of when I'm coaching people, I have this rule. When I ask a question, answer straight away. Like, don't let your thoughts roll around and etc. because you're trying to fit into some agenda. And we want to get out that first thought, however it sounds. But that's a belief, that's something rooted in you. It wouldn't come if that wouldn't be in you. So at some point, yeah. So being transparent is by being able, when you hear it, okay, what is this? Like, why do I feel this way? Why I feel this tension? Why I'm not into myself? Like, why I don't have energy? Like, why I'm tired? What is that tired to me? That's all these things requires transparency. First of all, listening, and then being transparent by not creating an excuses.
And then flexible exploration.
Yeah.
Flexible exploration of those answers.
Yes.
Because one thing I noticed that when you were being transparent with yourself, it was all questions. Why am I feeling this way? What am I thinking? Why did I think that? Right? That's where this comes in. It's not just like, oh, I'm so stupid. That's too many people. I've thought that so many times. And that doesn't serve anybody. Why did I think that? Why did I do this? Why is this my habit? Why is this my result? Right? That's so.
Then when you said about stupid, it's like like very opposite things. So when a person thinks that, oh, why I'm so stupid, and then he thinks like, but why I'm stupid, it's I will not name it wrong, a wrong question, but it's not directed to the roots. So I call it, you trying to dig on the surface when you should go down the rabbit hole and ask where this stupid is coming from. Like, what is the purpose of it? And when you start, okay, where it's coming from, and you bam, your grandparents, okay, my father was calling that, okay, does it resonate with me? Why I should call myself stupid? To downgrade myself? Okay, you get into transparency. You're starting to explore your unconscious mind, your unconscious collective mind, and you get into those patterns. You can. It's a way to break the mechanism.
Yeah. And I funny you say that, because later on this week, I'm planning on writing a post that's just about that when you do talk to your kids, like you talk to your buddies, I have friends and we call each other names and we say bad, negative things. You just like, guys, do that. But the thing is, when we have kids and we can't talk to them the same way because it's not fun banter to them. You're implanting those expressions deep inside their soul, and you're shaping their identity, and you're programming how they're going to see themselves and see the world. So it's not just fun banter for, to use with your kids.
I have one very great example about cockroach.
Okay.
It's a big one, and it touches unconscious mind and collective unconscious mind. So basically, when there was a story, like I don't remember the full picture of the story, but there was specific points that got my like deep attention. So the father was joking with a child, and child was taking it as a joke, yeah, because he was used to the roast from the father. So basically, the father said on a child, "Oh, you little cockroach." Yeah. And, child took it as a giggle, but your mind doesn't understand it's a joke or it's a real, it's association, a cockroach. Yeah. And then let's take a look to the movie industry. What we do with the cockroaches in the movies, we crush them. We scream when we see them. It sounds like rejection. So you have basically a trauma of humiliation in your unconscious mind, and at the same time you don't get indoctrinated on that word through the movies, through the entertainment, through the media, to be rejected, to be crushed.
Yeah.
What kind of impact it can have on a child's life? Can anyone tell? Scientists or etc.? We have done many researches and studies, and the mind is one of the deepest oceans. It's very hard to predict, and that's why we need to be accountable.
Yes, it's so powerful, and it is an infinite pool and sea. That's awesome. This was an awesome conversation. I think it's good to leave that here. There were some powerful things we touched on, and so thank you. Any final thoughts before we leave? What you're into, because a lot of different people from a lot of different spaces are in here that are follow both of us. Like, what do you do? What I do? Yeah. What do you do for companies and businesses?
I'm a legacy coach. I help conscious entrepreneurs, business owners to declutter their own minds, accelerate their business from a pure perspective of what they really need and want for this world and themselves. And I work through 3 segments. So it's a personal journey, entrepreneurial journey, and impact development into a community. So one of the impact development into the community comes in 3 segments as well. It's generational, environmental, and social. And that's why we're really building this, all this parenting hype and clarity, because I believe that leadership, which starts from parenting, is transitioned into future generations, and that builds our legacy. Because if we can manifest, I will use this word, manifest conscious generation, which has capacity to adapt to technology without being consumed by it, which has a capacity to be self-aware and not easily brainwashed or indoctrinated by ideas. They have tools to assess things, to realize things. That's where we change the world.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Karolis.
Thank you, Jesse, for asking that.
Okay, thank you. And let's talk again.
Let's talk again soon.
Yes.